Hey there, I'm Victor Adams, otherwise known as Oakwyrm, and I'm back here today with, a story, actually. Not any deep topic or anything, just a fucking ridiculous story about a thing that happened to me once. So, to set the scene, let's first establish that kids can be real dumbasses sometimes, as we all know. Anyway, first thing you need to know about me, I am not competitive. I used to be, but I'm not anymore. I distinctly remember that, as a child, for a hot second, between age 3 and 7, I had a bit of a competitive streak. But then family game night became a thing, and just utterly killed every shred of it. I also completely despised family game night. Usually you hear all these stories about how it just makes competitiveness worse, but my dad had this weird way of being where he was always actively looking for problems he could solve. So, like, generally hypercritical of everything anyone ever did. So playing any kind of game with him was just the actual worst, and it took me years to realize that it wasn't board games I hated, it was playing with him specifically. These days I do enjoy some casual board gaming on occasion, and even fancy myself a pretty graceful loser so long as I'm not dealing with a sore winner. What does this have to do with kids being dumbasses, though? Well, you see, another thing that utterly tanked my competitiveness was being the disabled kid, who no one really knew was disabled yet, during gym class. At a certain point, you just start accepting that you're going to come in last, and no one's going to want you on their team, and you're going to suck at everything that involves even a little bit of running. I had my fair share of injuries and being benched, and on one very memorable occasion, had an asthma attack way out in the sports field that was not on school property, and realized way too late I had forgotten my inhaler in school, and for some godforsaken reason, my teacher let me walk back alone. I mean, I was fine, and the school was like less than a kilometer away, and this was back when I could still walk that distance without completely killing my joints. But sometimes I do sit back and just think, what if that attack had been worse? Anyway, to actually get back to young children being their dumbass selves, there was this one kid in my class, let's call him, Ralph. Sure, that's as far away from his actual name as I could possibly get. So, Ralph was kind of a bully of mine. Okay, yeah, he was. He and his friends were terrible, but I think I'm lenient on him specifically because I had a crush on him for like all of a week in 6th grade, and he was the only boy in class to wear pink and get his ears pierced. He was actually pretty good looking and went through puberty with a grace literally everyone was jealous of. Your typical blonde-haired, blue-eyed pretty boy with unfairly good skin, basically. Listen, I'm pretty sure if I'd been born cis, he'd have been my idol and possibly my actual first crush if he hadn't been friends with the people he was friends with. Anyway, Ralph was the oldest in class, not because he was held back or anything, but because his birth was early in the year, and he was competitive. Also, indisputably, one of the most athletic people among us. I think he actually played football. Any gym class with a competition, the winner would either be him or this girl, Iris. She was the tallest person in class and also really athletic. So, cut to a day when our gym teacher is late for whatever reason. We've all changed and we're kind of hanging out in the gym, fucking around. Some people are doing sit-ups already, others are hanging off of the exercise ladders on the wall. I'm just kind of waiting in the corner for the teacher to arrive so I can get this over with. When who should approach me but Ralph? Now I have no idea why. At this point, he and his friends have kind of chilled with the bullying. We don't really talk. There's no reason for this interaction to be happening. He opens his mouth and says, "I bet I can run the length of the gym faster than you." To which my response is, yeah, obviously. Now, I don't know how he was expecting me to respond, but this answer plainly wasn't satisfying. Like, I don't know what you expected, my dude. How dare you, the most athletic boy in class, think you can defeat me, the weird, overweight, asthmatic loner kid, whose knees start hurting halfway through a normal school day? The cheek! Apparently his declaration was supposed to be a challenge, which again I thought was pointless because obviously I have never heard a more obvious statement in my life. But no, the gauntlet had been thrown and I had to accept. I didn't want to, but I figured, sure, I'll maybe make it halfway over the gym by the time he is at the finish line. It's not that much trouble, and it'll get him off my back. So I agree to race him, and obviously he wins. This does not upset me because everyone saw that coming, and I don't think any of our classmates even, had a reaction beyond maybe a couple of his friends. This was apparently not the desired outcome for him, because this fucking dumbass decides that he cannot let this stand. He must take it a step further. So, this fucking genius of a child says, I bet I can do it with my eyes closed. Just, what? Dude, I don't think that's a good... But he's off before I've even finished protesting, much less actually agreed to it. I take off after him, not because I think I can catch up, but because I'm actually genuinely concerned he's going to hurt himself, and the sound of his tiny little child body colliding full force with the concrete wall of the gym draws everyone's attention. He falls backwards. I don't think he even screamed. Somebody runs for a teacher. Now, Ralph is bleeding. I think he might have broken one of his teeth. He's looking very dazed, and everyone is kind of frozen, unsure of what we're supposed to do now. I don't think I specified earlier, but we're a bunch of, circa 10, maybe at most 11-year-olds here. We don't know what to do when one of our peers decides to run face first into a concrete wall. This is not something we have dealt with before. A teacher arrives and hurries him off, maybe to the nurse, maybe not. I can't remember if this was one of the days when she was present or not. We were a tiny school, we had to share a nurse with another school. Either way, he goes to get fixed up. Our gym teacher eventually shows up, we have our lesson, which was the last lesson of the day, and everyone heads home, now knowing what it sounds like when an 11-year-old runs full force into a concrete wall and breaks a tooth. The bloodstain stayed on that wall for the rest of my time at that school, and I haven't been back since, so I can't tell you if it's still there or not. I know this video was a bit different, but this was just such a ridiculous thing that I felt like sharing. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, consider liking it, and maybe subscribing. I will be back here Thursday after next. Bye!